The following is a paid program sponsored by Life Outreach International. Right now, there are thousands of children in Africa who are suffering from the effects of malnourishment. Little ones with bloated bellies and thinning hair will slip into an early grave if something is not done. See how a compassionate response to this crisis can end the suffering and save their lives. Next on Life Today.
Hello, I'm James Robinson. My wife Betty and I welcome you to this special presentation of Life Outreach International. Betty and I have personally together traveled all over the world in third world countries and in many of the nations on the continent of Africa. And we have witnessed those extreme scenes like you just saw in the open that would cause you not only to cringe, but to tend, sadly, to turn away or even run away and say, I don't want to watch it anymore. But if you will watch this program where you will see scenes that will touch your heart, you're going to also witness the fact that we can totally, completely, undeniably turn the situation that looks impossible around. And Betty, you and I have been into areas where the burial grounds extended seemingly for a mile or more, and the majority of the graves were children. We have knelt by those freshly dug graves waiting for a child to be buried within the next 12 to 24 hours. Knowing that they were dying by the hundreds all around us, we have gone right back in those same areas within 12 to 24 months. And when we are a great distance from the region, hear children's voices singing songs of praise until sometimes, Betty, I would just have to ask the missionaries to stop the truck and let us listen to that sound coming through the bush of children singing where they were previously dying.
I know, James, and it breaks my heart when I see a child that's not going to make it, that's going to die, and I see all those graves. I couldn't stand it if I didn't know that we could make a difference and listen to the voices of the singing again of the children as it should be. So it does make a difference. We can. You can.
You know, I would really like for you to experience what a lot of viewers tell us they experience when they watch us. And by the way, we have established communication, if we were able to hold that satellite communication, with one of our missionaries in Sudan right now, one of the most extreme situations on earth where pain and death is reality, and where much of the world sadly is turned away. So we're going to be talking to them. But Betty, when we look at these little graves of children, oftentimes they have some kind of a flower that looks like a weed, and they'll have a T-shirt, and sometimes a picture of a child, maybe the only picture they've got. I remember seeing one in a jar of a little child, and I'm thinking about the sorrow in that parent's heart. And by the way, in these third world countries, the children are the greatest source of joy that a family member has. They don't have television, they don't have the entertainment opportunities and privileges we have, so their children are their joy. So when they lose a child, it's like they've lost the biggest part of their life. We can change that, and you're going to want to. I'm excited, Betty, that we can talk through the miracle of satellite with our missionaries that we love and pray for every day. And Isaac Pretorius, I've been told that we've got a clear line, and I wonder if you're able to hear me, clearly.
Yes, I can hear you, James. I can hear you loud and clear.
Are you still in the southern region of the Sudan?
Yes, we are. We're actually here in a really remote and rural village here in southern Sudan.
Let me just ask you, Isaac, to give me your heartfelt impressions. I know that you have been going to the Sudan now for several years. I know you have seen the danger there, because I know we prayed very specifically for for God to protect you and protect the others. And in fact, we've had to pray very specifically, God, keep you alive. And I want to ask you, have you felt any more secure now? Is there any change there in the Sudan that would say to our viewers that that it's a little more secure? We've heard about some treaties, we've heard about possible peace accords, but yet we get the feedback, so to speak, in the undercurrent of relief operations and various organizations that it is dreadfully dangerous there. What do you see?
Well, James, you know, the peace treaty has been signed and it does seem to really be enforced, and people are trying to abide by it, and from a government point of view, they really are working hard at being able to enable the southern part of the country to develop on its own. But what you've got to understand is there are bandits all over this area. There's so many people with weapons and bandits all over that it's not just a case of war between North and South. There are bandits that are doing cattle raids all the time, that are attacking vehicles, convoys of vehicles to steal stuff from the vehicles. We've had some of our vehicles in the middle of the night that have got stuck in mud and have been stuck overnight, that were basically just pilfered by soldiers who came and were really just bandits who came out of the bush and took stuff off the truck. So the situation is insecure, and you're aware of the insecurity on a constant basis, and yet you can see some change starting to happen. And the biggest change that we're seeing is people are committed to really trying to develop in the country.
Well, may I ask you then, as we are made aware increasingly, not only by the media and other reports that leak out, but what you just said, we're going to be praying for God to grant an abiding peace, a stronger security situation. We're going to pray that. But what must we do as viewers? Because we've got people here in the United States and our friends in Canada and friends, frankly, who have just absolutely overwhelmed us with love in Australia, which I just say thank God for, and in Europe. And we just thank God for compassion. What would you say to all of our viewers that would somehow stir our hearts, not only to pray for safety, but what do we need to hear? What are your impressions? What do we need to somehow see in our heart and in our spirit in order to respond effectively to the needs in the Sudan?
Well, James, we do need your prayers. We need your prayers for safety. But what I have to communicate to people is that the situation here is truly desperate. James, just earlier today, I was in a village. Went into a hut with a child that was lying there. This child was about to starve to death. You should have seen this child. Every single bone in its body showing. It was literally just the skin hanging off the bone. This child was in a pathetic situation. James, we had got to this child too late, and we were not able to do anything for this child, and I know that within the next few days that child will die. James, this is what I've got to communicate to the people, to the viewers. James, they have to understand the situation is desperate here. We have to get to these people before they die. We have to get to them before they end up in that situation. James, we're not getting to them in time now. We've got to expand mission feeding. Yes, we're saving hundreds of thousands of lives on a daily basis. We're doing an awesome job. You've made that job possible, but James, there's so many more people who need our need. Just in this area, we've identified more than 15,000 children that we're not reaching now, that are all severely malnourished and need our help. And James, I just fear, my heart shudders when I even think of what might happen if we don't get to those children in time. They'll end up like that child who I saw today, who was about to breathe its last breath. James, I can't tell you the remorse in my heart to know that if we had got there on time, we could have changed that situation. But another child will die in Africa in the next few days because we were not able to get there on time. People have to respond. They have to open their hearts. And if they cannot give, they have to pray. Pray that somebody else who can give will give all that they can give so that we can get to these children on time and change this situation.
Isak, we could hear the agony in your voice, your pathos, the broken heart that you have. I want to ask you to repeat something. How many people did you say you found right there in the region where you are who are in desperate need? How many?
It's 15,000, James. We've identified 15,000 children that need our immediate help. James, I'm not talking about children that would be good if we could help them. These are children that are already suffering from bad malnutrition.
I want to take that straight to our viewers, Isak. You know, we have talked for so many years that a gift of X amount would help care for 10 children for 6 months and for 6 children or 3 children. You know, I'm going to pray that every viewer who can will help care for at least 10 children. And that's not asking too much. I'm also going to pray that all the viewers who can would simply say, all right, God has blessed me. And it may even require sacrifice on my part, just like the missionaries and relief workers are making, because I know how dangerous it is. I know how frightened Betty was as she gripped my fingers and wondered if we would get out of the Sudan alive. I know what the missionaries are going through, and I know the love that compels you to go. I'm going to ask God to fill our viewers with so much love and so much, if necessary, sacrificial compassion that they would say, I'm going to care for 100 children. Or I'm going to, along with my wife or my church or my business, I'm going to care for 1,000 children, because that's what it's going to take to meet the critical needs there in the Sudan. And I want you to pray that very specifically. And I can imagine with what you've seen, Isak, it'll be easy to pray in that manner.
And I echo what you're saying, and I ask you from the bottom of my heart, I cry out to you, please ask the viewers, make that prayer, James. I pray and I stand together with you in faith that people will respond and feed as many children as they possibly can.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to ask them to do, Isak. You carry on with the work there, knowing that we're praying for your safety and security. Give our regards to the missionaries. Gather every missionary worker there around now and ask God to move on the hearts of all of our viewers as I ask them right now for their help.
We'll do that right now, James. Thank you.
And you can know that that's exactly what they are doing. And those missionaries will be praying. They're not just praying for your response. They're praying that God will enable them to care for those children they're seeing who are dying without our love. And then they see, Betty, they hear the songs. They watch the people get strong enough to begin planting again, growing their own crops, having their joy and happiness with their families. And that's why I'm believing that every viewer, wherever you're watching us in the world, in the United States or Canada or Europe or Australia, that there wouldn't be a single person watching who wouldn't say, I want to be a part of your mission feeding efforts that have saved the lives of millions and millions of children. And we've had the joy of showing them God's love for them and the love of people for them, but also giving them an opportunity to experience God's love in life and have a future. And I'm believing all of you are going to go to the telephone and dial the number and say, here's my gift to help. I don't think there'll be a single person that won't help us, Betty.
I believe that too, James. And I so in my heart want us to be prepared for when the people come, because you see, the cries of desperation echo throughout. And so much of the time, more come than we really expected. But I want us to be prepared for the unexpected. So please join with us, and let's be there for these precious people that so desperately need our help.
Well, you began praying years ago because we saw the tragic scenes of running out of food. And everywhere we feed, the word gets out, and hungry people come to get food, and mothers and family members carry weak children to those centers, even if they have to walk many kilometers to get there. And you said years ago, I want the line to feed them, to give the help, to always be longer than the line waiting to receive it. Again, recently we ran out of food. We went for many, many months and even several years, we didn't run out of food because viewers like you helped. But recently the crisis situation, for instance, in the Sudan, where Isak and others have found, as he referred to, 15,000, but I can promise you can begin to multiply that. We can help them. As a matter of fact, we receive food grants, and recently we were told if we would establish infrastructure in the hard-hit areas of the Sudan, that we would receive a $1 million grant to help. But we had to have transportation, and we had to have storage units and so forth, and even have some air transport to get in some of the hard-hit areas where then they could transport it on the ground. And I'm grateful to say that there are more grants available if friends like you will simply respond right now and help us. For every single dollar that we put into this program, another $2 will go in because of the effectiveness of our effort, and we do receive the food grants. This has a tremendous effect, and we have a great number of volunteer laborers, which means that your gifts can be multiplied 3 times. As an example, $100 becomes $300 in its impact. And Betty, I think every viewer right now of this special program will be thrilled to know that we're able to feed a child. This is not total child care. This is crisis feeding that saves their lives. we can feed a child for $1.50 a month. Now let's break that out into areas where you can grasp it. For $30, for $50, or for $100, we can feed 3, 5, or 10 children for 6 months. $1,000 will feed 100 children for 6 months. And we're asking every viewer right now, every one of you, to help us accomplish this incredible opportunity and task we've got before us. We currently have 360,000 children already in the feeding areas, but we have to raise the funds now to feed them for another 6 months. And we try to raise it in 6-month increments. That's where the $30, $50, and $100 comes in, which means that if you would go to the telephone and dial the number, take your bank card and use it like it's a check, or write a check, make it to Life, address an envelope to Life, but call us and tell us what you're mailing. If you will do that right now and make a gift of $100, we're able to care for 10 children for the next 6 months. We're asking you to do that. And if you would consider a special gift of $1,000 to help care for 100 children in desperate need, your $1,000 gift will actually be multiplied to $3,000 in its total effect. So whatever you can do is going to be so meaningful. I don't know what level you can participate in, but I know the 15,000 that Isank Pretorius referred to, they need our help. Or they too face a sudden death, a horrible death. We can turn it around. We can hear them singing. We can see them have a life of meaning and purpose, but only if together we care. The missionaries are in place. Everything is ready. All they need is your help. That's all. Our help. We're presenting the opportunity. Betty and I participate in this. We don't do anything more exciting. We're asking you to join us and to make the best gift you can. Would you right now dial the number, make the gift of $30 or $50 or $100 or $1,000, whatever you can do. And we have special gifts that we're offering those of you because we care about you and we want to invest in your life and enrich your life. And so we're offering you gifts to help you as you give the gift of life and love to someone else. Please go to the phone right now. Please make that life-giving call. Don't turn away. Reach out and touch someone with love.
More than 360,000 hungry and malnourished children in Angola, Mozambique, and Sudan are counting on us. Our teams recently discovered an additional 15,000 children in Boma, Sudan, who are very close to death. We are ready to reach even more children, and with your help, we can. Because of several food grants being made available to us right now, each dollar you invest today will have an impact of $3 to help save lives. That means your gift can now have a triple impact. $30 to help feed 3 children will now have a $90 impact. $50 for 5 children will have a $150 impact. And $100 to help feed 10 children will have a $300 impact. With your gift of any amount to help feed and care for the children, be sure to request James' new book, A Dad's Blessing. With your gift of $125 or more to help feed 10 children, please request today's #1 best-selling leather-bound edition of the Life Application Study Bible. As a special challenge, please prayerfully consider a gift of $1,000 or more to help feed 100 children for 6 full months, and you may request the beautiful bronze sculpture titled Living Water. Please call, write, or make your gift online and help save lives today.
This is the picture of why we are here. We are here for these children. A child just like this. Just look at the condition of this child. Look how this child is suffering. Look how thin her arms are and how orange her hair is. Her belly is so extended. A young child like this should not have to suffer like this. This child is suffering with pain. You can see she's crying. Let me explain to you why she's crying. I don't know if you've ever experienced the pain of waking up, living your whole life and going to sleep at night with an empty stomach, but that's the reality of what this child faces. She lives with the pain of hunger and starvation. What truly breaks my heart is the fact that this child is not alone. There are thousands of children just like this child that so desperately need our help. Thousands of children right here in Angola, in these areas where we're feeding, even in Sudan, children who we are not reaching, children that mission feeding is not able to save their lives because we don't have enough resource. Please, I'm asking you today, save her life. Save her life and the thousands of children that she represents here in Africa that are in such desperate need for your help. Please, do what you can do today so that we can save this child's life.
I will never watch a missionary holding a child in need that I don't think about holding it myself. And Betty, I don't think I'll ever see a child in need that I won't think about something that happened when we were building a life center and asking for help in India. And Kathy Tricoli was with a little boy whose dad and mom had died. And he was terribly malnourished, and he is stroking the picture of his dad. And we're wanting to build him a home, and we said, well, why can't you take care of him now? And he said, until we have a place to take him, we can't take him anywhere, and we had to build that life center. And that little boy died before we got to build the home. His name was Santush. And we're gonna put his picture in the life center when it's completed. But that child died before we got the help there. And Betty, we've watched children die, but we have watched many children, as our own pastor prayed over a little girl they just knew would die, and we said, please, let's help her, and she lived. Her name was Rosalina. And we can tell you about hundreds of thousands of children. The African governments say millions of their children were saved because of the mission feeding efforts. So when we come to you and we say, please go to the telephone right now and take 3 children or 5 children or 10 children in your arms, or 100 if you can hold them with love, and make a gift that'll keep giving. The gift right now goes for a 6-month period because we raise the funds from people who help us to feed for 6 months. And then we come back and say, would you help us? Would you make a gift that'll last in its effect 6 months, whether it's $30, $50, or $100? You make the gift, and we're asking you to do that by going to the phone. Betty, I'm praying there would not be one person watching who wouldn't give something.
I'm praying that too, James. And you know, we can show you and you can hear the cries of the children, and that touches your heart. But until that cry in your heart is right here, and that cry is so big and swelling up in you that you have to do something, you want to do something, then the difference can't be made. We can listen to the little whimpers, and they're so weak they can't cry out. They're so soft you can barely hear. But the cry within your own heart can come out. That's God's cry to help and make that difference. Please call right now. Don't hesitate. And if the line's busy, you be persistent and call back.
You know, as I was listening to you, I realized that when our heart is broken in their behalf, their heartache is healed. That's what compassion does. Compassion is when you feel the suffering and the pain of another, and you take it so seriously that you reach out to alleviate it. And you truly become the Good Samaritan that Jesus referred to and said all of us should be there. We don't walk by those in need. We get involved. We put oil and healing ointment in their wounds. And then we say we want to take care of them. And then we say we'll check on them. And that's why we report to you, along with African governments, millions of children's lives have been saved. But it all happened. One life, one heart at a time. One heart is moved here, and a heart is healed there. Please go to the phone right now. Take your bank card, $30, $50, $100, whatever you can give, $1,000. Care for 100 children. Whatever you can do, that gift is large enough. The 3 children you hold with a $30 gift, it's big to those 3 children. Don't turn away. And by the way, if you get a busy, you be determined because lives depend on it. You call until you get through. Use your bank card like it's a check. If you want to write a check, make it to Life, address the envelope to Life, but call us and tell us what you're mailing. And I want to mention this. We are offering, because we care about you, not only a dad's blessing that will inspire everybody that reads it, because it's my own interaction with our 3 children and the effect on 11 beautiful grandchildren and children all over the world. You'll be blessed if you get the book. Of course, you can get it in the bookstores, but we want to send it to you. But I want to tell you about something special. The Life Application Bible. And I'm telling you, over more than 40 years of ministry and Bible study, this is the finest study Bible I've ever seen. And we are sending it to those of you who will help us care for 10 children in the next 6 months and make a special gift of $125. We want to place this gift in your hands because it'll bless your life. We care as much for you as the children we're asking you to help. You are important to God. Thank you for making that call. Thank you for reaching out and touching someone with love.
More than 360,000 hungry and malnourished children in Angola, Mozambique, and Sudan are counting on us. Our teams recently discovered an additional 15,000 children in Boma, Sudan, who are very close to death. We are ready to reach even more children, and with your help, we can. Because of several food grants being made available to us right now, each dollar you invest today will have an impact of $3 to help save lives. That means your gift can now have a triple impact. $30 to help feed 3 children will now have a $90 impact. $50 for 5 children will have a $150 impact. And $100 to help feed 10 children will have a $300 impact. With your gift of any amount to help feed and care for the children, be sure to request James' new book, A Dad's Blessing. With your gift of $125 or more to help feed 10 children, please request today's #1 best-selling leather-bound edition of the Life Application Study Bible. As a special challenge, please prayerfully consider a gift of $1,000 or more to help feed 100 children for 6 full months, and you may request the beautiful bronze sculpture titled Living Water. Please call, write, or make your gift online and help save lives today.
Like prisoners who are longing to be free, we cannot look the other way, say we've done all we can do. If we search our hearts, we know that we will see one more heart, one more life, one more soul who needs to know the love of Christ. Like a ripple in the water that keeps reaching far and wide, you and I can have a part in one more heart, one more life.
Well, Betty and I want to say thank you so much for your gift. And Betty, I'm thankful for relief communities that will literally impact with grants that will triple the effect of your gift. What a tremendous need there we can meet. And thanks to all of you for your help. Please, I repeat, if you should get a busy, write the number down and do call until you get through, because you are sharing the greatest gift of all, the gift of life itself. Thank you.
One more heart, one more life, one more soul who needs to know the love of Christ. Like a ripple in the water that keeps reaching far and wide, you and I can have a part in one more heart, one more life.
Life Today is made possible by the supporters of Life Outreach International. Your gift will be used exclusively for the exempt purposes of life. The ministry features specific outreaches as examples of the programs it supports and conducts. Gifts are considered to be without restriction as to use unless explicitly stipulated by the donor. The ministry is a member of the ECFA. The proceeding was a paid program sponsored by Life Outreach International.